Oh, yeah.
I like that matchup.
Here we go. Oh, no.
Kicked it off. Had the ball get touched back. OC wants to left middle for a reason. Defense play, offense play, let's stop the game. Here we go.
Fresh off one of its most successful seasons ever, Illinois returns as many starters as any team in the nation. Hopes are sky high for the Illini, and as week one approaches, we offer a first-hand look at the ingredients inside the 2025 Champagne cocktail. Interviews, insight, and analysis all on the way as we kick things off from the land of Lincoln. This is Illinois Football Training Camp. Champagne dreams are alive and very real as Illinois returns much of a roster from a 2024 team which made history by winning 10 games. Now, the goal is clear. Take the next step and become a legitimate college football playoff contender. Welcome to Champagne and Illinois Football Training Camp. Rick Pizzo thrilled to be joined by Gerry DiNardo and Howard Griffith. The expectations from the outside, Gerry, are very clear. Illinois is preseason number 12. They do return so many key players from last year's historically successful team. What are your expectations for Bret Bielema's squad in 2025?
I think the biggest storyline, and you've outlined this, is how they handle everything that you said. The hype, the momentum. Bret Bielema signed a new contract. They have most of a team back that won 10 games, a veteran quarterback. They're poised to have a really good season. A total manageable schedule, if you look at the predictions of their season and the schedule. The most important game to me to see if they're going to answer the not being overconfident bell is the second game at Duke. If that looks sloppy, if that doesn't look like a veteran team, I think it's a bad sign. If it does look like a veteran team, I think it's a great sign.
So I think I can give you a little insight here. Coach had an opportunity to sit in their staff meeting and also their team meeting last night and really got the sense that these guys are dialed in. They understand when you talk about people believing that they've invented the game. I like to use that a lot. These guys are hungry. They've got a lot that they still want to prove. And yes, I understand where the expectations are. They're very high, but they still have to be able to go out and manage it. It's great to do it in practice and meetings, and it looks like they're dialed in, but it comes down to being able to execute on the field. Really looking forward to seeing how they handle practice today.
And we'll have to wait to see how they match up for those expectations until we actually start the season. We don't have to wait very long to see Illinois on the field. It is a shells-only practice. That's become pretty commonplace at this point during training camp. Gerry, what do you expect from this team on the field today? We know Bret Bielema, always a guy who likes to keep the energy up even when the temperatures are in the high 80s.
11th practice, veteran team. I'd expect nobody on the ground. I'd expect securing the football. I'd expect the defense to be fitting up and staying on their feet. I'd expect this to look like a veteran team getting ready to challenge for a championship that is in their 11th day of practice.
Yeah, you look at this team and you start to think about what it's going to take to get over the hump outside of what goes on in between the ears, right? And this is about a team that can play well at the quarterback position. Luke Altmyer, I think, is one of those guys that I want to see continue to take the step. He's done an unbelievable job in the 2 previous years of continuing to grow. Now that leadership has to continue to show up on the field. Having talked with him, he's dialed in and ready. But this is an offensive line as well that's really veteran-type guys that can run the football. Running the football is going to be a big key for them this year.
And certainly while some of these players, it'll be their first experience of dealing with success and trying to turn one great season into another, Bret Bielema has done that before, and that experience, he hopes, certainly filters down to the rest of his football team. Speaking of experience, the Illini have that quality in good measure. A half dozen players have made 21 or more starts for this program, and most are at key positions, including Luke Altmyer and Josh Kreutz. That quarterback-center combo linked once again as both sat down for a post-practice chat with Howard Griffith.
Josh, let's start with you. What's the expectations of everyone on the outside? How have you guys been handling that this year?
I think for us to handle those expectations, we just have to think about going 1-0. We got to think about practicing really well this fall camp and doing those things to get ready for Western Illinois. And once we handle that, we'll go 1-0 and hopefully handle Duke and just so on and so on.
Does any of that change for you being the quarterback in the face of the program?
Yeah, I think I've said it a lot. It's something that we asked for, to be talked about at this magnitude. It's something that it means you've done some good stuff, and we know we belong in those conversations, and we're confident. We're a gifted group. People can see it as pressure and a lot of expectation, but I think we just see it as opportunity to do something really cool for this community and this program that hadn't been done in a long time. And as kids, this is what you want. You want to be talked about at a high level, and it means you've done some good things, and we just believe in our gifts and our abilities to do something really cool. So we're putting in the work every single day. The grind's for real, and we expect to do cool things ourselves. So we know we belong. We're confident, and we believe in our gifts. So we're excited.
And the outside world looks at you and your veteran leadership and just how long you've been in the program, and they talk about your maturity. What do you see is the way you've grown in the 3 years you've been here, getting to this point?
Yeah, a lot of hardships, a lot of people like Josh who have helped me get to this point. I've been around Josh and my offensive line and a lot of these people who have helped propel me and brought out the best of me, and it hadn't been always fun and comfortable and easy. It's been a lot of difficult truths and conversations that have only helped me to be my best and brought out the best in me. It hadn't been easy at all, hadn't been comfortable, but that's been the formula. A lot of scars and a lot of tears, a lot of blood, a lot of falling on my face and embarrassment, humiliation. That's what's brought out the best in me, understanding what I need to do to get to this point, and just understanding the gifts I've been given and maximizing those every single day has been such a journey and been so much fun to do with people like Josh and my teammates, my coaches. I've done it for a while with them now, and I'm excited.
Being the center, being the leader of that offensive line, how have you watched this line grow? And you guys look really athletic and physical. Is that the kind of brand of football you ultimately want to play?
Yeah, I think as an offensive line, you want to be branded as physical and aggressive, but we have to show those throughout the games. I think all the guys I've played with, JC, Getsky, Melvin, Brandon Henderson, all those guys have gotten a lot better, and we just can't wait to play this year with our communication and just growing in our friendship as well as growing as a unit, and it'll be really important what we show on the field this upcoming season.
You've got an excellent perspective on what this defensive line has grown into. As you see some of the new guys that have come in, what can you tell us about how they've grown and how do they help you guys get better?
Right, and I'll talk about two guys that I go against every single day. First, Kurt Neal and Angelo McCollum. I've seen those guys just get a lot better and better. Really excited for what they do this fall, as well as James Thompson, a transfer from Wisconsin. People call him Unk here, and I think he's just been really good for our team, and really excited to see what he does this fall as well.
Talk to me a little bit about that wide receiver group and also the tight end group. You got some new faces there, lost a lot of production. Who are some of the guys who will be able to step up for you this year?
Yeah, like you said, new faces, a lot of new opportunity for a bunch of guys, and that's to be determined to see who will fit those roles. But I'll tell you what, there's a lot of guys who can do it, and a lot of guys who are working every single day to use their gifts who are gonna do it. There's going to be a couple of guys who are going to make big plays for this team. They're going to have to, and there are a lot of gifts in that room. But you have guys returning like Colin Dixon and Hank Beatty who have done it, who have been in kind of those starting roles. Hank more of a slot body, and Colin who can mix it up and who's going to really do some cool things for us this year. And you have two guys returning who are younger, ready to step in and make that step for us, who are confident, Malik Elzy and Alex Capica-Jones and Ashton Hollins even, who are guys who are younger and ready to attack that role and are competing every single day to do it. And then you have Hudson Clement and Justin Bowick, who were kind of two transfer guys for us, who are figuring things out. But man, they have the world in the palm of their hands. I'll tell you, they're so gifted and so capable to do some cool things for us. So a lot of depth, a lot of guys who, like I said, who can do it and who will do it. Just ready to see who takes it by the reins and takes those roles of Pat and Zakari, who were such key guys for us last year. But there's no doubt in my mind that a lot of those guys will be in those roles, but excited to see who takes it by the reins and kind of becomes that alpha. It's super cool to see them grow and to grow with them.
Quarterbacks usually get the last word, but I'm going to come over to you for the last word. What does it mean to have a guy like Fagan back and healthy, running behind you guys?
Right, you just look at Caden Fagan and the way he runs and how physical he is. It's awesome. You want to block for people like that. And I also talk about Aiden Lawfrey and Khalil Valentine as two guys that you really want to block for. All three backs in that room we're really excited for and really excited for the season.
Well, guys, thanks a lot for your time. Appreciate it. Have a great year.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Champaign and the Illinois Football Training Camp Show. The Illini defense saw monster growth in year 2 under coordinator Aaron Henry. Illinois improved in every major defensive category, allowing nearly 8 fewer points per game while increasing their totals in takeaways, sacks, and quarterback hurries. Gerry DiNardo has more with the Illinois DC.
Coach, great progress from year 1 to year 2.
Yes, sir.
Where do you look for progress in year 3?
Well, I think, for me as a coordinator, right, year 1 was about growth. I think both on the field and off the field. That was the first time I became a father, and that was the first time I was calling plays, right? So it was things that you experience, obviously, in that first season that you got to go through. Year 2, right, was about establishment, right? Both on and off the field, I think about from a father standpoint again, right, just learning how to be a dad, right? Truly learning how to be a dad. And, there's some things that you learn along the way, and I'm still learning. But my wife, right, really being a major factor in that. And just in terms of the defense, just like establishing ourselves as a really good football team and playing collective, right? Collective football and playing as a unit. Year 3, for me, on the field is about dominance. It's about truly being dominant, not only as a coach, but as a father, right? I think about my little girls, they turn 2 July 30th, and I want to be a dominant father. So every time we get moments to, whether it's to go outside or I'm teaching them how to tackle right now, which is really, really cool. But just as a defensive coordinator, just being dominant in every facet of the game, right? Like, I think a couple times last year we had a chance to put teams away and we didn't, right? And it ended up, whether like the trying to keep the pendulum moving during the course of a game, just really putting the fire out and just being dominant on all bases every time we take the field.
To be dominant, you usually have to be dominant up front.
Yes,
You've got to rebuild your front. Talk to me about who's going to help rebuild.
What's really cool, I'm always, like, anytime we bring a new group of guys in, I'm always excited about that particular group. I'm very fortunate to have a D-line coach like Coach Jamison. Cool story, Coach Jamison's wife was my first boss in college. Right, and so me and him have that level of brotherhood and connection with him being a defensive coordinator, right? He runs the defensive line as a defensive line coach. Like, there's not a group that I'm more excited about. I mean, we brought in a couple of transfers who I think are going to play some really good football for us. Obviously, everybody knows about Gabe and Alec Bryant, but we got some guys who we brought in from the portal that we really think highly of, and we feel like are going to allow us to play dominant football.
Talk about the 2 guys you brought in.
Yeah, well, it was a couple of them we brought in. The 2 interior guys, it was 3 of them actually. Kurt Neal, it was James Thompson, and it was also a young man by the name of Tomiwa. He was a transfer from Florida State. All those guys are freakishly athletic. They all bring some different in terms of the pass rush game. They're all very, very violent run blockers or penetrating, trying to get to the run. And I think what's really unique about just those 3 sets of guys is, Coach J-Mo, it's something new every day with him, man. Like, those guys, just from a rotational standpoint, Carter Hewitt, we brought Carter Hewitt in from Northern Iowa, who's been like lights out for us. So we got some guys that we brought in from the portal that we believe are gonna not only have a chance to start, but be high rotational guys who we feel are gonna allow us to play like just very dominant, fluid football. Anytime I have a luxury to work with Coach Jamison. Coach Jamison is a technician. I truly believe he's the best defensive line coach in the country. He's one of, I don't know how many defensive line coaches there is out there who's developed an all-conference player and the defensive player of the year for more than one conference, which I think is like really, really incredible, and so he starts at the ground level and just teach them guys how to play properly with their hands and great technique, and I'm just really excited about their room in general.
The back end is like the opposite of your front. You've got a lot of experience back there. What does that experience allow you to do coverage-wise?
Well, I think the cool part, right, like, it allows us to play like multiple coverages, right? When you got guys who've been working together, right? We kind of got baptized in 2023 a little bit, right? Had a bunch of young dudes back there. There was some growing pains. Last year, that group returned, obviously. Had to get through some things, but we had some guys step up like Xavier Scott, make some massive plays, and Matt Bailey coming on late. And now this year, right, we got some guys on the back end who've played football together. I think it's really important whenever you got a group of back end guys to have camaraderie and great communication. And those guys communicate at a high level, not just on the field, but off the field as well.
One last question, I'll let you go. Harder to raise twins or to call defenses on Saturday?
It depends on who you're playing. If you're playing Oregon, probably if you're playing Texas, I mean, I will venture to say that's probably really hard. But, being a father is the coolest thing in the world for me. I'm so excited about it. But, on any given day, Lord bless my wife, she can be dealing with one of them really sick, the other one's in a great mood, but I really enjoy, I don't look at being a father as really hard because I really enjoy it when I'm around, but my wife is the soldier in our household, man. She does a great job with those girls, and she would probably tell you the latter that it's really, really hard to raise twins.
Appreciate it, Coach. Thanks for your time. Have a great year.
Altmyer's got it.
going down again. Just couldn't handle that edge of Gabe Jacas. Aiden Loffery, 64 yards by the letter of the Loffery. Caden Fagan showing off speed and power. Pass is picked up, and Xavier Scott, touchdown Illinois. It does not get any better than this.
Only twice in history has the Illinois football program posted back-to-back 8-win seasons, with the most recent occurrence taking place a full quarter century ago. Yet after 10 wins in 2024 and so many returning veterans on the roster, that streak is in serious jeopardy of being happily smashed this season. The man who will lead that charge is with us now, Bret Bielema. Bret, always great to catch up. Really fun to watch the practice. Seemed like great energy out there this afternoon.
Yeah, I was excited. We actually had two back-to-back days of probably the most intense heat and the most intense work we had, so we kind of backed off them a little bit today, took it down to a 15-period practice, and they responded really well.
You know, there's obviously a ton of expectations, but I know the expectations internally are higher than they are anywhere externally. And yet the players know how well they did last year. So the challenge becomes repeating it this year. From a mental standpoint, how would you describe what you've seen in terms of the effort, energy, and execution throughout camp?
I like our group. They have their moments. You know, we had probably a practice today. I would say 95% of it was really good, but there was two small moments where we need to have a correctable moment. And I said, hey, that's the game of football, right? We can play a game. 95% of the plays are great, and then we take a 2 or 3 plays and don't do well, and our opponent is going to find that, right? So I appreciate what everybody has said, and I know we're getting some preseason anticipation that we've never had, but I think it's just because it's so new to Illinois, right? After the legend of how Griffith left, like we really haven't done a lot to be here. So we have this room, our team meeting room, right? And the guys that left this room last year, they can brag and talk about last year. It was their last year. But these guys, for them to leave their legacy, they got to make it mark this year.
Do you get the sense that these guys are still hungry to do that?
I do. I think there's been a lot of carryover from our 23 season. A lot of guys that were young players but good players in that year that remember back to that time and what happened. It was a team that fell short of what we had hoped was going to be something special, a 5-win team that fell short of a bowl expectation on the last play against Northwestern at the end of the year. So a lot of growth since that time, but I think this group wants to make 2025 something special for them.
Hungry on the field, but I've noticed not hungry when they're off the field. There's a new app that you guys have that allows the players to order ahead of time. It's like they're ordering through the mobile drive-through at Starbucks and getting everything they want, just better and healthier.
It is. Jake Anthony, our dietitian, has been an unbelievable asset to our program. And one of the things he came in with was a background in the NFL and some other places. And he just talked about the efficiency. Like, we have a group of people that supply our guys basically meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And sometimes there was long lines or there was a little bit of, to be honest, waste, right? Like trying to help my AD, Josh Whitman, as much as I can with the budget. So we tried to streamline things, make it more specific. And, yeah, I couldn't believe when I heard we're going to have slushies to order coming off the field. But in this hydration world we're in, it's a specially made slushie that is waiting for these guys. And listen, you can put it all in front of them, but if they don't eat it or drink it, it's not going to work. And these guys have been consuming everything we put in front of them, which hopefully makes us better.
Well, I'm glad we are light years removed from you can have a bagel but not cream cheese on the bagel back in the days when you played. Bret, back on the field, obviously there's so many veterans on this team, but it starts with the quarterback. And Luke seems to be not just in a really good physical spot, he seems to be in a really good mental headspace.
Yeah, it's fun to be around Luke so many different ways. First, he's a unbelievable kid of high character, you know, very Christian faith driven, and in a way that he promotes it, but he doesn't push it, right? And I think he talked to our guys at the beginning of the year about just having some faith in what you believe in. He didn't try to force any thoughts, just you got to have a faith in what you do and what you believe in. And that shows up him in every day. He's a very intentional in what he does, intentional in his relationships, intentional in his delivery, intentional in his progress. And what I love to see is I love to see kids that work really hard and get the rewards of it. And hopefully this year it's going to be an even bigger step in the right direction.
I know every year that you've had success, whether it be here or previous stops, you've had a good and experienced offensive line. Simply between the two Joshes, you have 46 career starts, those two guys, and then others who have seen time as well. How good can this O-line be, and how important to your success will their success be?
You know what? Unlike any other position, like you can have a great quarterback wide receiver combo, you know, a great tight end and maybe a run play action game on defense, a good secondary that's backed up by a good defensive line. But There is no other group that needs 5 guys that work together more than the offensive line, right? And it's just, you have a left tackle who now has been a career starter in college football for 4 years. Our left guard, Josh Geske, started for 3 years. J.C. Davis is my left tackle who started at New Mexico and here. Josh Kreutz is a 3-year starter at center, and he's probably been playing like a starting center since he was born with Olin in the house. So our right guard, Brendan Henderson, has played a lot of snaps and got a couple backups behind him. And then a right tackle, Melvin Priestley, is going into a second year starting here, but he started at Grambling. So the value of that experience, and now they're all playing together. Behind that, an experienced signal caller, 3 good running backs, 4 or 5 good tight ends, and a group of 5 to 6 wideouts. That's what leads to hopefully something good.
Defensively, if I work from the back forward, you have a really experienced and talented secondary. I think back to a couple of years ago when the defense was lights out and Devin Witherspoon, a top 5 pick. Quan Martin was doing really good things back there as well. What does that allow you, and more to the point, DC Aaron Henry, to do?
Yeah, great point. A lot of people don't realize this, but when you're calling a game, a lot of what you can do up front is driven by what you can do in the back end. And the experience that we have back there, Miles Scott, Matt Bailey as safeties. Now we got a guy, Mac Rossetich, who's probably a starter in most programs. That's a guy who can start for us in multiple ways. A couple other guys in the safety room, but also at corner. Obviously, Xavier Scott is, in my opinion, one of the best players in our conference. Can play corner, can play star. You got guys now, Caleb Patterson, you got Juice, you got Torrey Cox. We got a lot of guys with veteran experience. And I think that allows us up front to let some guys hunt, right? And Gabe Jacas, I literally took him to Big Ten Media Days as a junior because I didn't think I was going to get him back. And he came back for his senior year and is driven more than ever. He looks great. He's leaned up. He's playing with an incredible attitude. The outside backer room between Gabe, Alec Bryant, Daniel Brown, Leon Lowry, you got some other guys now factoring into that. Dylan Rosiak, a mainstay, James Kreutz, and Malachi Hood on the inside. And then some guys up front. We added James Thompson, came from Wisconsin, who's been really pretty impressive in fall camp. Kurt Neal inside, and a couple others. Pat Farrell, who's done a good job for us. Didi. There's a host of characters looking to make their name.
Gabe doesn't just play the part. Man, he looks the part. Yogi Roth was blown away. He said, guys that size or that strong are not supposed to have six-packs coming off the edge. He's been impressive since he got here. He's a guy was totally under-recruited out of high school. When we got him, he was, I believe, committed to Tulane. I have a good friend, it sounds like a joke, named Jack Daniels, is a high school coach down in Florida, and he called me, and he was at a game, and he's like, hey, you might want to look at this kid, Gabe Jacas, and we immediately went down there, went to a school, brought him in, and I knew in the first 10 days I had an NFL player. And he's just continued to grow, develop, put himself in a position. He has some good players all around him, which will free him up even more. But, yeah, Gabe's got a little bit of a sweet tooth, and I think he cut those sweets out last spring, and he looks when I came back after our little break in July and saw him walk through the door, I mean, he's focused on all the right things and really fun to watch. All right, Bret, quickly, let's get you out of here on this. What do you still need to and want to accomplish before opening night? Yeah, I think between now and that opening moment against Western Illinois, we got to clean up the details. I think offensively, we got to become really efficient on our early downs, maximize our third downs. Situational football, we got to be better than our opponent. I don't care who we're playing, Western Illinois at the beginning of the year, Ohio State right in the middle of the year in Game 7, and at the end of the year is Northwestern. We got to be great at situational football, and then defensively, I think we got to be opportunistic. We got to take advantage of the moments they give you, catch the ones they throw you, do different things defensively that makes us be great in those moments. And I think we got a kicking game. We got to continue to fine-tune it, but David Alano, our kicker, is probably as good as I've ever had. I'm really excited about Crimmins, our new transfer and punter from Purdue, who I'm glad he's punting for us, not against us. So really excited to see this crew grow. Bret, we appreciate the time. Always appreciate how well you guys take care of us. Thanks, Rick. Appreciate it.
AB, you can't cross your face. 2 can't cross your face. There you go. Tight, arm over tight. Convert. Stay low. Stay low.
No team in the Big Ten forced more fumbles per game last year than Illinois, which joined Ohio State as the only league squads to average more than 1 forced fumble each time out. 2 of the biggest stars on that Illini ID now taking time out from forcing takeaways to talk with Howard Griffith.
This will be for both of you guys. When I say expectation, what comes to mind?
Honestly, just to win. That's the big goal. The ultimate goal is to win. But, we got to take it a day at a time, but the ultimate goal definitely is to win.
Okay.
I'll just say win-to-know mentality. Each week is different. Just competition, just going 1-0, pretty much is what I have to say.
They talked about this being a veteran team and the expectations are high. What were some of the reasons you guys wanted to come back and continue to compete?
It's definitely a family atmosphere here. When you talk about family, it's definitely here. What not to come back one more time just to ball out with your brothers. And definitely, you got that NIL making it a little bit easier. But no, definitely just want to come back and just one more ride with my brothers and just, get this thing going. It's definitely been a great journey since I've been here and just wanted to get one more last ride with my brothers for sure.
Talk to me about what some of the things that you've wanted to improve by coming back.
Just my hand, obviously, edge rusher is a premier position, just working on my hands and just having that get off. Everyone talks about having to get off. So, also just working on just trimming off some weight, in the off season. But obviously that first step and having better hands is like one of the main things I've been trying to work on. So, I think that I've been attaining that this whole fall camp, and I'm just going to continue to do it.
A lot of veterans in the back end. What does that allow Aaron Henry to do as far as the play caller is concerned?
Yeah, it gives him a little bit more pedazzle. You could put a little bit more sprinkles on our ice cream, just a little cherry on top. So, everybody know the defense now, so he can do a little bit more disguise and a little bit more stuff here and there. And he's comfortable doing it because we know what we're doing, and he's able to give it a little bit more jazz and a little bit more style. And just, like Gabe, we got great rushers in the front, so if them guys can do their little thing, their little stunts at the front, and we could do our thing on the back, we put it all together, we got something great going on. So that's just where we're at right now with things. And he's just adding more to our plates and giving us more on top just to make us a better team, a better defense, and, just give the offense more challenges and things like that, just to help us on both.
Cool. Up front, some new faces, guys that have played but have transferred in. How have they adapted, and what are they going to add to that defensive line in that front seven?
Yeah, I just talk about James Thompson, big dude, Kurt.
By the way, he had an unbelievable day today.
Yeah, just absolute monster on the field. You see, he's 6'6", 310, he just brings the energy to the defense. And I could tell a lot of the guys, fall behind him, whatever he says goes. So I just love the energy he brings and, the leadership role he's bringing to the team. And I just can't wait for that guy to play on Saturdays and just excited for him.
What's it like going against a veteran offensive line like you have now, and how will that prepare you guys for the season?
It's good, going against, Melvin Priestley. He's been in this system for 2 years, and he's a really good player. And, going against him every day in practice just makes me better, just that competition, that edge, wanting to beat him every play. And, even losing reps, I'm like, damn, I can't believe he won this rep. But, it's just good having that competition between me and him.
The quarterback position obviously is always a premier position at any college, but you get a chance to go against a guy that's been here for 3 years, and you've been able to watch his growth. How has he grown as a quarterback?
Yeah, just his confidence level, his ability just to take it one day at a time and not let his highs, take over his highs and his lows. He's getting out those lows. So he's my locker buddy. So, I see it all. Sometimes he comes to the locker pretty happy. Sometimes he, down, but he doesn't let those affect him. He's always coming in and just want to get better, want to help his team. And he's just a student of the game at the end of the day. He's always working and trying to get better. So I've just seen him just grow and just his confidence level, in the offense, growing with Coach Lunney. So he's just been growing and growing, and I can see they tight now. So they're close, and he's just been growing since he's been here. He's going to continue to grow.
Who are some of the young guys that have had an opportunity to step up in the secondary that you guys may not have to rely upon but are going to have bright futures?
Yeah, Tanner Heckel, he's definitely a good. He's one of those ones. People don't expect him to be that guy, that type of guy. White DBs at the end of the day don't really know about white DBs, but he's just probably one of the fastest guys on the team, and he's just been growing since he get here. At first he couldn't really backpedal too good when he got, but I could just see the growth and the change he's got since he's been here. And now he's running with the ones a little bit. He's getting a little 2 reps, so now he's way more comfortable. People ain't running past him now. He see that speed, so now he's like, okay, I see they ain't running past me. So just the confidence level he's gained since he's been here has been tremendous.
Well, guys, thanks a lot for your time. Really appreciate it. Have a great season.
Appreciate it.
Illinois has had an amazing knack for finding a way to win the close ones over the past 2 seasons. In fact, the Illini are tied for the FBS lead with 10 such wins during that span. And that means in most cases, your defense is, at a minimum, keeping you close enough to close the deal. Of course, had a chance to see that defense in action during practice here in Champaign. Aaron Henry, year 3, calling the shots. We heard from Coach Henry. How much of a difference does it make now heading into year 3?
You know, when you're calling plays or defenses, every game, every practice, you gain more and more confidence. And Coach Henry, I think, made great progress year one to year two. You watch him out there today. He looks like a wily old veteran. He's in his comfort zone. He knows he's got a strong back end. He knows he has to fix the front or develop the front. And I think he's perfectly comfortable, much more so than 2 years ago.
You know, what's really great about what we get an opportunity to do, go behind the scenes, you get to see coaches continue to grow and gain the confidence, particularly as play callers. And we've seen that out of Aaron Henry. He's done an unbelievable job of communicating exactly what he wants from his players. And I think that's an underrated part of the co-coaching process. He does a great job, gets the most out of them. And you mentioned that back end. Talented guys back there that have a lot of experience. They have to continue to build that front end, where they brought some guys in from the transfer portal. So those guys will also be key to what they need to be able to do this year.
You know, all assistant coaches take something from the head coaches they work with. You know, in Aaron's case, or any defensive coordinator, you know, Bret Bielema was a defensive coach. And so there's always something extra that an assistant coach can get from someone that was trained on their side of the ball. And that's what's happened to Aaron Henry.
Well, Howard, I want to go back to what you mentioned about the back end being really strong. You think back a few years ago when Illinois had its best season before last year under Bret Bielema. They had a really strong secondary. Devin Witherspoon ended up being a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. How similar do you think this team could be in terms of being led by a productive defensive backfield?
Well, I think that's a big part of it, right? You being able to take the ball away from teams. And that's where, you talk about the success they had a few years ago, that's where it all started. It came from the takeaway side. And then you go back a couple of years, they had to play a lot of young players that now are leaders on this team now. So that's significant to be able to lean on those guys because they have a great appreciation to understand what's expected out of them. But again, it all starts up front, and I think that's going to be an important part. But when you have the experience that they have in the back end of being able to rotate and show different coverages, that gives you an advantage on the defensive side.
And Howard, when you say it all starts up front, this is a veteran offensive line. That helps a young defensive line, right? Because when the practices here are physical, this is a line of scrimmage league, and the fact that you're trying to build a defensive line versus a veteran offensive line, nothing could be better for a defensive line coach.
And I know that so much of the success defensively last couple of years has been built up front in that defensive line, but the law firm is not here, at least not the partners. This is more like a paralegal setup, hoping that some new guys can come in and give some major impact. Aaron Henry did sound very confident about the pass rush ability of some of the players that Illinois brought in on the defensive side. We touched on the Illini's outstanding record in close games already, but how about fourth quarter comeback wins? Last season, Illinois was tops in the nation with 5 victories when trailing to start the fourth quarter. A credit to the play calling and poise of OC Barry Lunney Jr., who is with Gerry DiNardo.
Coach, you have so many veterans coming back on offense. How does that change expectations?
Well, internal expectations are high, and I know they are probably on the outside world as well with what we have coming back, but it's really good. It's a good feeling as offensive coordinator to have as many guys back that have got experience of playing our system and playing winning football. And our challenge to our guys was like, hey, whatever our ceiling was last year, we wanted that to be the floor where we started off in the spring. And I think our guys have, from a communication standpoint, a growth standpoint, even schematically, have really taken that challenge. I've been really pleased with that.
When you talk about growing a system or changing a system and you have a quarterback like Luke, how does his experience help that process?
Oh, man, it's everything. Going on year 3 with us, the vernacular is, just second nature to him. And so it allows us, as smart as Luke is, he's very gifted, not just physically, but mentally. He's super smart, super intelligent, just allows us to push the envelope on install about, miscellaneous things that we're doing. And so I really like where we're at in regards to that because I know that he can handle it. And obviously you can only push as much as your players can handle it. And we've got smart players across the board and a coaching staff that does a great job of communicating to our guys. So I really like the growth that we've done from a schematic standpoint, anxious to get the season started.
As we both know, this is a line of scrimmage conference. Your offensive line looks to me as maybe the best I've seen here in recent years. Would you say that that's true, and what does that allow you to do on offense?
Well, I would agree that it's true. I really like, obviously, the experience that we have coming back, and just I think the confidence that we got the last half of the year last year, particularly up front. I really like the way we finished the season. up front in the run game in particular. And so it all starts there, as you said it, Coach. I mean, it's a tough league. It's got super amount of respect for the people that we play and the teams, the defenses, the ways they're coached. And it's a strain and a grind for you have to fight for everything and earn everything in this league. And we've got a tough bunch of guys up front that hopefully will lead that charge for us.
You're a veteran at the line of scrimmage, you're a veteran at quarterback, wide receiver, running backs, maybe not as. Let's start with the wide receivers. Tell us about some of the players out there that you're counting on.
Well, returning, we've had Hank Beatty and Colin Dixon are two of the guys that are returning that have done the most for us on the field. Malik Elsie's played some, and Alex Kapka-Jones as well, and some of those other guys have had some minutes and some moments. But what I like about that room right now is we brought some transfers in, we added some high school kids, and I really like the competition at that position. And sometimes that's coach speak for we're trying to figure out who we've got, and we're still in that process, but the elevation, the competition has elevated that room. It's the deepest room that we've had since I've been here from top to bottom, and we've got playmakers in there. So I'm excited as we get started this season. Luke has really developed some chemistry with those guys, and I was pleased with the guys we brought in, and I've been pleased with the guys that have returned and what I've seen from them.
Mention some of the guys that you brought in at wide receiver.
Yeah, so we got Hudson Clement from West Virginia, and Justin Bowick from Ball State, and then Braden Trimble is a high school kid here locally who was highly recruited, and all three of those guys have injected a lot of good to that room. And you can see, to your point, kind of relatively inexperienced our group is, but when you add Hudson and his game experience at West Virginia and Justin and his game experience at Ball State, that helps things. And that experience has showed up in their maturity. They've continued to get better and better. And their additions have not only made them better, I think, but also it's made the people around them.
Let's have the same conversation about the running backs. Tell us about them.
Yeah, well, obviously we lost a part of our production. Right. But we also return a lot of the production there. And so, we kind of play a committee-type approach there, and we have three guys returning that have made impacts in games. Now, Khalil Valentine is the one that doesn't have as much experience, but even in his rookie year last year, greatly impacted the Kansas finish, and super explosive, super talented, but really like where Aiden and Caden are and how they handle their roles. And, obviously, if you can get three backs that can do it all, run, catch, protect, then that makes life easier on everybody. And I think Thad Ward's done a great job getting those guys ready. I really like that room.
Well, have a great season, Coach. Thanks for your time.
I appreciate it, Coach.
Of course, it helps an OC in every way to have an experienced and efficient quarterback at the helm, and Luke Altmyer certainly fit that bill in 2024. Altmyer was the ultimate difference maker for the Illini, as you can see in the numbers, which show a dramatic shift in his key stats during wins versus Illinois losses. There's no doubt just how important Luke Altmyer is to this offense. You asked Barry Lunney about it. He said he means everything. You can't say anything more about a quarterback. I love the fact that we saw some passion from him during practice. Once or twice when a read wasn't open or maybe he missed a read, he slammed the football to the turf. He wants this offense, Gerry, to be running at perfect pace in 2025.
He's pretty hard on himself, to your point, which is a great way for a player to be. He also has a veteran offensive line that's going to protect him in the pocket. There's got to be some development a little bit at wide receiver and running back, but he is probably one of the best quarterbacks in the conference preseason. And my guess is he'll live up to that.
You start thinking about him being in this system, the third opportunity to go through a training camp in this system, and he's really just continued to grow as a passer. And you saw him make some passes today that were just outstanding, really throwing into the windows, anticipating receivers coming open, and that's going to be what's going to be a major part of what this offense ultimately is going to be able to do. And you look at having Fagan back, because you look at the way the run game, they were still able to run the ball last year when he got injured. But the way he runs it, he's just a physical running back that nobody really wants to tackle, particularly once you get into the third and fourth quarter. He can really salt games away from you.
And Howard, to your point about the running game, I think they feel better about their tight end group than they have. And what that does is it gives them more formations, more ability to add another gap. And so having a good tight end room, I think, is probably one of the real differences this year than maybe the last 2 years.
Obviously, they will have to fill a pretty big gap. Pat Bryant did so many things at the wide receiver position. Hank Beatty made some terrific plays during the practice that we saw, brought in some transfers as well to try to help out the wide receiver position, but so much of it comes down to what the big guys up front can do in two different players, the two Joshes on this team that lead the offensive line. You have 46 starts, Gerry, just here at Illinois. That opens up so many different options for Barry Lunney.
I think if you wanted to be critical of the offensive line from a year ago was pass protection. They can do a better job protecting Luke this year than they did last year. They're flexible, they're deep. They probably have 8 guys that could play right now if they wanted to rotate an offensive line. But I think pass protecting is probably something that they want to do better this year than last year.
And you have to have the tight ends a part of that, and also the backs when you start to run play action and do so many different things. But I think when you have a physical offensive line like these guys, the size, their athleticism, as you've talked about, I don't know that we've seen an offensive line this good under Bret Bielema here at Illinois.
And lastly, we saw it during practice, and we like to see it during the season. Barry Lunney likes to go quickly very often, but most importantly, he says, I want our pace to be completely unpredictable. You can even see that throughout the course of practice.
And that's one of the things that they're able to do. You talk about having those fast pace or being able to slow it down. Even when they get into some of their larger jumbo packages, they can go quick and go hurry up. So that really keeps the defense off guard and also gives them an advantage of not allowing that defense to really be able to substitute at the pace that they want.
And no doubt, having a veteran quarterback allows them to do those type of things.
Yeah, it's like you draw that comparison to baseball. They say you got to be really strong up the middle. You have Josh Kreutz at center. You have Luke Altmyer taking the snaps from that center. You feel pretty good about where you stand up the middle on this offense. Welcome back to Illinois football training camp. A quick glance at the Illini schedule shows a manageable non-con, though Duke on the road is far from a guarantee. The Illini then open Big Ten play with a show-me type of matchup in Bloomington, and Ohio State comes to Champaign in early October. Other than those two dates, Illinois is a preseason favorite to win each of the remaining 10 games on its regular season schedule. Time to wrap things up after a terrific day in Champaign. But, Gerry, I know you look at that schedule, and a couple things do jump out to you.
Yeah, schedules are tricky because the players make their own assumptions. And just like we've looked at the schedule and just like it's been publicized, this isn't one of the most difficult schedules in the conference. First game is Western Illinois. Second game is Duke. I think the Duke game is perfect. This team has a lot of publicity, a lot of people telling them how good they are. When you go to Duke, we'll see if the schedule hasn't been a distraction to them.
This is a well-coached team when you talk about Duke, and particularly playing at home. Manny Diaz has his team really playing at a high level. So this will be a great challenge for this Illinois football team to go on the road with all the expectations that are out there. And it'll really be a great opportunity to see, just from a mental standpoint, just where this team ultimately is.
I mean, fans go down the schedule of their team and they say win, 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 win. Players do the same thing, and that's what's really dangerous about this team, because they have the potential to be a really good team against a schedule that's not as difficult as some of the other people are playing.
I will say, get through that Duke game, get through the road game at Indiana that opens Big Ten play. You look at the remaining 8 games. I know Ohio State here will be an unbelievable test, and what a great environment that'll be at Memorial Stadium. But people will start talking about the college football playoff if Illinois is 4-0 after that Indiana game. Based on what we saw today, obviously this is a team that has the talent and experience to be in the college football playoff conversation as well.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a veteran team. Nobody was on the ground. Situations weren't being taught. They were just being rehearsed. And at the risk of expose myself to an old joke, I've been coming to football practice since 1971, and I still learn something every time I come here. And there was a couple coaching points today that I had never heard before. So it's just a great environment.
Let me allow you to learn one more thing. That's 3 years before I was born. I mean, you teed it up, so I just couldn't let it go.
I teed it up hoping you wouldn't hit it off the tee.
Well, he did. But getting back to Illinois football, I think one of the interesting things, right, when you think about this program, the expectations that it has coming into this season is something that this program has not witnessed in many, many years. So there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of expectations from fans, and there's also a lot of pause, right? They say, okay, can they mentally handle it? And after spending some time with them, I believe that they can absolutely mentally handle it. They have to just go out on the field and prove that they can get that done.
A great game day head coach, right, managing a game. Offense coordinator back, defensive coordinator back, quarterback back.
It's all positives.
That's tough to do in 1 year.
To your point, been a quarter century since Illinois has backed up one 8+ win season with another. They're not thinking about 8 wins in 2025. They're thinking about at least matching the 10 that they had a year ago and getting back to the college football playoff. I know, Gerry,
that's
but trust
the problem,
me.
right? I mean, that's the good news and the bad news.
The good news and the bad news,
yes,
for some, is that the tour's not over. The good news for most, the tour's not over. Northwestern next, as we hear from David Braun and the Cats. But that'll wrap things up from Champaign. For Howard Griffith and Gerry DiNardo, I'm Rick Pizzo. Thanks so much for hanging with us and the Illini.